Let's move on to Module 5, Modifying Task Dependencies. In this particular module, we'll work with the additional task dependencies, as well as learn about lag and lead time to put both delay and overlap in our project schedules to give us a more real-world relationship among our tasks. You'll want to have the Module 5 MPP file available to you as you proceed with this module. So when we're working with task dependencies, it's important to understand that we have more than just the finish to start dependency type available to us. So here we want to learn about how to create the different dependency types among our tasks, like start to start or finish to finish, and that's what we'll be doing in this particular module. So you'll want to make sure that you have the Module 5 file open, and of course save it as the new file name. We'll start by establishing a start to start dependency, and you can see that illustrated here in your manual. And then we'll also create a finish to finish dependency type. We'll then move on to working with lag and lead time. You'll put lag in a project in order to offer a delay between tasks, which quite often happens. You'll also want to be able to create lead time, which is overlap between the two tasks that you're working with. So we'll first specify lag time, and then we'll move into specifying lead time, and we'll also specify lag as a percentage, which is an important concept to understand as you work through it, because the duration itself could easily change, and you want to have that lag properly represented, or lead time. And then we'll move on to our recap quiz. Okay, let's walk through the steps for Module 5. The first thing I'm going to do is save this as a different file name. I have it out on my desktop, and I'm simply going to add the my to it for my Module 5 here. And we'll move on to the first section. The first thing we want to do is establish a start to start dependency. So as you'll notice through the steps, we're being asked to double click the link line between tasks 2 and 3. So here's my task 2 and 3, and here are my two tasks. So the link line they're referring to is right here, this link line between the two tasks. So if I rest my pointer right on that link line and I double click, what you'll see is a dialog box will pop up that is telling me about the task dependency. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to establish a new type of dependency, and that being the start to start. So when I choose that, I'm establishing a new dependency among those two tasks. So I do start to start, I click OK, and what you'll notice is that the secure project sponsorship task then moves back and is now available to start at the same time as determining the project scope. That obviously has an effect on the overall schedule. The next thing I'm going to do is establish a finish to finish dependency type between tasks 10 and 11. So there's 10, right? So as I go through and I look at the task between 10 and 11, and keep in mind that you can always scroll over to see exactly where that particular task happens to be, right? So there's task 10 and 11, and we're going to double click the link line between those two, and I'm going to establish a finish to finish. Click OK, and notice the effect that that has on the schedule, and I'll scroll it back just slightly so you can see that. And if you notice in your training manual how it should match up to what you're seeing on screen. The next thing we're going to look at is using lag and lead time, and if you recall, lead time is overlap between tasks and lag time is a delay between tasks. So the next thing we're going to want to do is specify lag time. So let's go back to tasks 3 and 4 up in the top here under our scope summary of tasks. So there's 3 and 4, and we'll go ahead and double click the link line between these two, and notice that you can always see the task that you happen to be working with, the from and the to here, and we're being asked to just simply tab over into lag, or you can just simply click in there, and where there's the area in which you can type in, just type in the number 1 and click OK. And what that's doing, as you notice on the screen here, is that's offering just a slight delay between these. Maybe there's something happening within that day, but you basically just want to offer a delay here between these two tasks. Now let's go down and let's specify some lead time. So now we're looking at tasks 9 and 10, which is right here. We're again double clicking the link line between these two. And this time we're going to type in a -1. So by typing in negative here, we are actually specifying lead time. So you won't actually see the word lead here within your schedule. It's just represented as negative lag. So by putting in -1 here and clicking OK, you'll notice how the task then moves back, and now we have overlap. So what we're basically saying is that we can draft the preliminary software specifications into the conduct needs analysis one day into it. So before it completely finishes off, we're going to go ahead and get started with that next task. Again, this is offering a closer to reality type of representation within our schedule. We can also specify lag as a percentage. So now I want to go back up to 3 and 4 again, double click that link line, and this time what I'm going to do is, instead of specifying 1 day, I'm going to specify 25%. And the reason why this is important is that if the duration changes on the predecessor's task, it's not going to be represented as a hard number in terms of 1 day or 2 day, but rather it's a percentage of that. So if that increases, the percentage of lag between those two will also be proportionate. And then I'll click OK there. Okay. Now what it's asking us to do is to enter a new actual duration for task 3 here. So for task number 3, and make sure that you're scrolled up here properly. For task 3, instead of it being 1 day, we're going to change that to increase that to 4 days and hit the enter key. And what you'll notice that happen is, because we represented it at 25%, you can see the difference here in our lag time between the two tasks. And that moves us on to the module recap quiz.